president.
My life matters.
We always talk about white people killing black people, but we don't talk enough about black on black crime. We kill each other.
My life matters.
Kansas City is different.
Stuff can happen at a moment.
My life matters.
Say if somebody made me mad, I do the first thing that comes to my mind.
My life matters.
We just go and just retaliate now or just get revenge on anything.
My life matters.
I mean, we've got about 170 homicides already in the city this year.
My life matters.
I saw on the news an 11-year-old girl was shot and killed, and that's all I saw.
What is going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Gary B. Jr. here, your media consultant, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. We got Juan and Javier on the line. Welcome, welcome, welcome from Miami, Florida, and Puerto Rico. Javier, I used to work with a friend of mine at a cable company named Javier Gonzalez. It was his name, and I've been to Puerto Rico once, so I got a lot in common with you. I've never been to. I might have been to Miami too, Juan. So I think I've been to Miami, maybe just flying through. I think I went there before I went on a cruise once years ago when I was in high school. So I got a little bit in common with you guys. Welcome to the show. This is Free Show Friday, where we're going to be talking everything about Free Show. And today it's all about taking the stage. Let me set this up properly. Let me see here. So yeah, welcome, welcome, welcome. During this time, the way we do it is I usually will go over highlights and things related to Free Show that we need to know about. And then also we'll go over beginner level stuff, intermediate level stuff, and advanced level stuff. And then we're going to go into a segment to finalize things called Figuring Out Free Show. I just started doing that just not too long ago. So that's a newer segment, but the idea is the same. But I want to hear from you guys throughout. So if there at any point you have a question, maybe you got a burning question right now, feel free to ask it in the chat and I will stop what I'm doing to answer that question. And so what we'll do first, if there aren't any questions, I'm pulling up my YouTube channel to recap what happened this past week. Let's see here. This past week was pretty busy. Started out on Sunday with, I think we dropped 4 or 5 videos. Let me see here. I'm gonna pull it up. Okay. And let's bring this here. Bear with me just a second, you guys. And like I said, thank you guys for telling me where you're from. I love to hear it. And it's always exciting to hear. SBU Media, what's going on, my friend? From South Africa in the house. Let's see here. My stream is giving me an error message. Let me fix that real quick. I've been making all kind of changes, you guys, to stuff. This is kind of crazy. The stuff I've been doing. But I'm excited. I'm doing something a little different here today. So hopefully everything works out fine. I'm testing out some things and we'll see. We'll see if it gets choppy, let me know. I'm working through that. Impact Time 22 from Wisconsin. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Brian from Michigan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm excited. So as I was saying, this week was crazy because it was a lot going on. And here's a little bit of it. So we started out the week with a 5-part series on setting up an entire church service. I did that because in the past I would release them as one big long 1.5-hour video. And I think this will be more digestible and you can kind of jump in on the parts that are more important to you was the goal. So hopefully that makes sense as to why some of them are like 20 minutes, some of them are like 15 minutes, but they all are less than 1.5 hours, which was the goal. And hopefully you can get some value out of it. But this one starts out part 1 with setting up your shows and your outputs, and it just walks through the same process. I recorded it all together, and then I just broke it up into parts so that it could make hopefully a little bit more digestible process for you guys. And then I don't know if we talked about this one, but importing files and Bibles. This is directly from the beginner's guide of Free Show, actually. So if you've not bought that course, this will give you a taste test of what's included with it. It literally is a ground up startup for anybody trying to start using Free Show and you're just not comfortable. This will help you get comfortable using the program at a high level and to get started. So let's see here. We got our first question. Let's see here. Let's switch to some Q&A time. Impact Time 22 says, how can you build multiple layers so you can have 2 Zoom windows and 1 NDI video feed from a remote camera? All right, so break down a little bit more when you talk about build multiple layers to Zoom to 2 Zoom windows. So for example, for me, when I do Zoom meetings, for example, I use Free Show. I lead Bible studies from Zoom. with some young men. And the way I do it is I actually use OBS with Zoom. And let me actually start recording. I didn't start recording, but I use OBS as my webcam. So I turn on the virtual webcam in OBS. I point everything from FreeShow into OBS, and I set my camera up into OBS. Okay, so OBS basically houses my camera, right? So my camera feed through my capture card is going into my computer through USB-C, and then OBS, I point it to that and say, hey, this is my camera I want to use. And then I put another layer, and let me show you what I've got set up now. So this is close to what you might see, minus the capture card. I mean, not the capture card, minus the virtual cam. And so right now I've got this Free Show Friday live stream. This is an NDI signal directly from Free Show. Okay. And I can turn it off and you'll see that the overlays go away. Okay. And that's coming into OBS. And then I've got my camera here. So this is, if I mute that, let me see what happened. Mic check, mic check. You can still hear me. Okay, so that's my camera. That's coming directly through a capture card right here on my desk. And then the top screen is just what I'm capturing so you guys can see this. And then I've got that white box and the yellow background. So those are my layers, if that is what you're asking. He said, I thought I saw something about recording a free show presentation, but can't remember how. Oh, okay. So with free show to record, if you're trying to record like a song, that's what it can do really well. It can actually record I say the song. Let's back up. It's not a music recording program, but it does allow you to record the strokes, almost like a macro, I guess you could say, but it records the progress you make through each song. So let me pull that up. Let me drag this back out the way. I think your question is more geared towards free show. So let's look at if we go to shows and I'll go to songs. I think I made a song with that, with a recording on it, and I'm trying to see if I can find it. Amazing Grace, no. That one maybe. I don't know where let's see, For Your Glory. Okay. So this one has a recording with it. You'll know it's got a recording to it because it'll have a little icon up here that looks like record. You can see that. Let me maximize my my screen here. All right. And so the idea with recording the show has to do with you can go to the far right over here and you'll see this option for recording. And what it does is it actually records how long in between each slide you have, right? So how long does this slide stay on versus how long this slide stays on? And what it does is it records how long you keep it on by you playing through that track. And I've got a track on here. I've downloaded that song and it's in here. So I actually just went along with the music and just was pressing the button to go to the next slide, to go to the next slide. And then once I was done, I hit stop recording and it just saved the time between those each part, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, that's Brian. Okay, I'm thinking that's the same question. I'm sorry. So impact time 2 to 2. Brian, I just answered your question. Hopefully there's a video about it. I thought that was the same person. I apologize. But yeah, so that's the recording. So you would go all the way. So you would open up any show. So I'll go All in His Hands, for example. If I go to that show, I will go over to recording and I can hit start recording. And if you're like in a worship practice or something like that, you can press that and they're singing along and you go to one slide and you go to the next slide and it'll actually, populate that information for you. All right. And let's clear that out. We don't need that information popping up. Okay. Going back to Impact 22, he says capture 2 Zoom windows and add them to one screen with NDI video feed or OBS. Okay. So capturing 2 Zoom windows. And when you say two Zoom windows, you're not talking about logged into 2 Zooms. I'm guessing you're just talking about like 2 people having a conversation in Zoom, maybe. And if that's the case, then I would probably do like a screen capture from OBS. I would do a screen capture of Zoom, or like I right now, for example, when I went to my my OBS, I got it set up to where it's recording what I call my top screen. So I got my laptop screen down here, then I've got a main screen up here. All right, and so let's maximize that. All right, so this right here, if I select it, you'll see it is this box right here. This is my top screen information, which is what is my OBS screen right now because I pulled OBS up to the top screen. That would be where I would put Zoom. You would put Zoom on one screen and then tell OBS capture that screen and put that into OBS as, let me see if I hit the plus sign, It would be, let's see, image slideshow, Mac, audio, screen capture. It would be, I believe, a screen capture, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so you'll just pick a screen capture and that would be what it is. And if I go back here, let me make sure. If I right click and go to properties, it's a display capture. Is that an option? I believe that's so video source, capture device, text, siphon, DI media. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's just Mac OS screen capture that you would select, and that would be where your zoom is, and you would bring that into OBS from that screen capture. All right. And then what it does, it actually brings in the audio from the top screen. It'll have its own audio. So if those people are talking, it'll bring that in and you can adjust the volume for that separately. Okay. And then yep, Javier said he didn't know about the recording feature. Yep, so it records the strokes in between the song, and then you can go back and replay it anytime. Whenever you start that show, it's just going to start playing that. So when you hit the first slide that from a song you recorded, it'll just start playing the recording. You don't have to touch it anymore. Impact time too. It's to capture all the people on Zoom for a big LED screen. Yeah, that would be my recommendation, is to use OBS and then use OBS. With OBS, you can actually. So if I right click on this, I can not preview, but you can set up a projector screen. OBS open source projector. I believe that will be it. And somebody showed me this a while back, and I can't remember a while back how it worked. But so this is the preview, and then this is the source. Yeah. And so you can project it into one of these screens that you've got, and that'll send that OBS signal that you have. Everything that you've got here, it'll send it out for people to see on another screen, and that would be a way to do it. Okay. Let's see here. Look, you guys can see all the comments just as easy as I can, but let me pull them out the way so you guys aren't distracted. All right. Okay, so let's see here. Brian, what I meant was recording a stream. Oh, not using OBS. I think Christopher answered it yesterday on the Facebook page. Okay, what did he say on the Facebook page about recording a stream? Like recording a live stream through FreeShow? Brian, let's see here. Recording a FreeShow presentation, but I can't remember how. You got me curious now. What did he say now? Let me see if I can open up Facebook. I don't keep up with Facebook too much, you guys. I've seen it. I try to. I'm in the group, but I'm not active in the group because I don't open. I don't open Facebook hardly enough. Like I'm never in it. So I'll go there probably like twice a month to just check and see what's been going on. Let me see if I can see the groups here. And I'll probably go here to look at some questions and things that people have been saying. We'll do that for figuring out FreeShow maybe. Go to media screens, right click on output window and press start recording. Yeah, so he was talking about, so media and screens, and then right click the output window and press start recording. And so he was talking about going to media, go to screens, and then you can go to any of these and you can actually start recording it. And so let's say I wanted to record my Facebook page. You can hit that and it'll start recording that. That is crazy cool. So I can scroll down here, and I remember this being a feature a while back, but it wasn't reliable. And so now I'm gonna hit stop recording and it pops up into my record. Oh, that's what it pulls in. This is what I didn't like. It made it into like a web M file. So let's see. If I hit the space bar, which is what I'm used to doing, I'm used to just hitting the space bar to open stuff up. And so it does bring up the recording right there. So it does make the recording. I just don't know what to do with a WebM file. But yeah, that is pretty cool. And now the downside is you can't dictate the quality and all that kind of stuff like you can in OBS. But this is a really cool feature for a quick fix, or if you guys are trying to report an issue or something like that, I would definitely use it for that. But be mindful of it. Like I said, it doesn't let you, like I said, I don't know that I record in 4K everything on my OBS, and everybody's computer may not be able to support that, but it looks very decent. Like I said, it's not bad at all. It looks like just a good screen recording, which is cool. It just looks a little blurry up here, a little soft, and I don't know if that's because my screen is dirty But it played back perfectly fine in a WebM file format, and that's just HTML5 video, which is pretty cool, very cool. Great questions. You guys are kept coming out the gate. I love it. I love it. All right. Oh, so let's pick back up where we left off with some review of the week. All right. Oh, I think I turned it off. Okay, there we go. Where's my internet? Okay, so we talked about the 5-part church setup. This would have been one video, but I made it 5. I released it all on the same day to kind of just let everybody get access to it all at the same time. Instead of trickling it out once a day, would have been kind of weird to me. And then we did the profiles. This was a new feature we talked about a couple of weeks back, maybe even last week. But the profile feature in FreeShow is here, and the beta, I believe, has made some improvements to it. I haven't got to test out the beta yet. I'll be testing it out later on this week, probably Sunday. Is my guess, but like I said, not for a live service. If you're used to using the betas, feel free. I don't use betas until I'm sure I'm not going to be needing to do anything. And if I do need to do something, I'll go back to the stable version, just for security's sake, just to make sure everything goes according to expected. Because unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. I actually remember using a beta, and I was trying to do something, and the beta had a bug in it, and I didn't know. And I was trying to do something, making a tutorial. I was recording, and I couldn't get it to work right, so I had to end up re-recording everything anyway. So that's how I learned it personally. And then we got the option for the quick search. Okay, the quick search is a newer feature, and it's being improved regularly as well. Really cool feature for finding stuff easily in FreeShow. I love it. One of my favorite features, obviously, is the fact that it allows you to find helpful YouTube video tutorials, namely from myself, which is really cool. The videos that you guys can see on my YouTube channel, they've been embedded by Christopher. I had nothing to do with it. I'm grateful he did it, but he picked some helpful videos that he thought would be useful for your searching, so that now in FreeShow, it is now an expansive search option, to where now, I've seen programs where they got a little help button, and you hit the little help button in the top menu, and it doesn't really help. It doesn't do anything except maybe send you to the website, or let me search something on my own computer, which I really was trying to find something about this program. He's allowed it to where now you can do a quick search by hitting Command G on the Apple or Control G on the Windows computer, which is a universal search feature I didn't know about. Like I did that on my computer, and it did the same thing like on PDFs or something like that. But it allows you to pull up by just typing out anything. You can type out outputs, and you'll find videos about outputs. You'll be able to go to your output settings. You'll be able to create a new output. Really cool stuff from that one. And then another, this one is another series or another show from the FreeShow beginner's guide, right? The no nonsense beginner's guide to FreeShow for your settings overview. This is another cool overview of how FreeShow works from a settings perspective. A lot of times we don't take the time to dive in and play with all that stuff. Well, don't worry, I did it for you. In this video, I literally looked at most every setting in there that you would need to know as a beginner, getting used to getting started to FreeShow, and walk you through some things that might be helpful for you out the gate. All right. And then last but not least, this was just yesterday, I think. Yeah. Made a video about motion graphics. Now, this one, I'd say motion graphics, motion logos, I call it adding motion to your logo, because somebody asked about embedding or adding like a logo, a motion logo, I guess. I don't know what to call it actually, but what I tried to do was what they asked about in terms of, can they go to DaVinci and make a GIF? And you can do that. There's probably some programs out there that you can GIFify your logo. Canva has a platform for that, like a plugin, I guess. I don't know if it's because you have to have the free version, if you have to have the paid version, but I tried it on there. I didn't like it. I didn't like the DaVinci one either, with the way it exported. It exports to full screen. I couldn't get it to be transparent. And so I just took my logo that I had and I put it into FreeShow. And that's what you see here. I took my logo and I made it have animation to it. And a matter of fact, I can show you what it would look like. Let's see. It should still be in here. Let's see. I think I caught it. Yep, logos. And so, oh no, you know what? I made an action for it. Let me pull it up that way. That'll make it to where you can see the actual motion with it. So I got it here. So this is what it looks like. And so I made that entire thing in FreeShow. Now my logo I already had. I didn't make the logo in FreeShow, but that graphic that you see right there, the movement of it and all that kind of stuff, that was done all in FreeShow. And a lot of times we don't think about free show as that, but this is where I'm working on a video now about how to approach free show. Um, yeah, so it's gonna be fun. It'll be a fun discussion. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts about some things I'll ask about later on. But um, for me, this was a really cool way to make my logo not be distracting, but also allow it to be maintained, like to maintain the integrity of it to where it's still just a graphic just sitting there. It's not something I have to constantly make it keep showing up and all that kind of stuff. But I tied it to an action and it's there. And I might keep it there. I don't know. It might stay there all day. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it will. When I do my transitions, they actually clear out the overlay, so it'll go away soon enough. All right. What questions came up from you guys as you were, if you got to see any of the videos from this past week? Did anything come up that you had a question about? I know people have made some comments, which is great, and I got to answer a lot of the questions there. But if you have a question about any of those that I just talked about, let me know. Let me know. So today it's all about taking the stage. All right. I'm looking to make sure I didn't miss anybody's comments. My question to you guys in the chat, let me know who is using a stage display in free show. Who's using a stage display in free show? And I say stage display, I really mean a stage display, right? So we're going to talk about what do you need to start a stage display, right? Because a lot of times I've been to ministries that have started using free show. I went to one a while back in Louisiana. They invited me out. So if you guys want to invite me out, hey, bring me on. I'm ready. I'm a media consultant. This is what I do, along with a few other things. If you got to see the intro, I also am a filmmaker. So I got one of my first films out in distribution called Our Lives Matter. Check it out. It's on Folsom TV, maybe. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but check it out. Really cool video about the neighborhood I grew up in, the area, the city I grew up in Kansas City. All right. But to get started with a stage display, going back, what you need is you're going to need a separate output. Okay. See, Javier says he's using stage display. Tael says not so much. So SBU Media says they do as well. Excellent. Okay. So here's the deal. I've talked about this in depth. Let's see. I don't know if it'll get in focus or not. Look, my camera doesn't do good at focusing when I'm not there because it's focused on faces. All right. So this is a device. I'll put it back here. So this device is a USB-C device. And what it does, it allows me to connect to my computer and plug up 4 different monitors or outputs to it. Okay. And so these 4 different HDMI ports on it allow me to send out a separate signal to different monitors. Okay. Right now, most of you all have at least one output, obviously from your computer, maybe 2 is pretty ideal, but many computers don't have more than 2 different outputs you can put. So you might have one output in the back at the in the media booth or in the middle of the church, wherever your media booth is, or your media table. So you got maybe a computer with a screen and then maybe a secondary screen, right? So you got two outputs right there. And if you got a third one, it's going out and it's probably just mirroring one of those, that side screen that shows what the audience is seeing, right? In order for that to work with a stage display, you would just send out the same signal to your stage display, which may be in the back of the church or maybe on the stage on the floor, and it's showing the same thing as the audience. I'm not talking about that kind of stage display. I'm talking about a stage display that looks like this, right? Something that actually is designed for people on the stage to look at only. Okay. It's not for audience eyes. It's just for people on the stage. And in free show, you can do something like that. And so I can, oh, let me go back here. All right. Let's do, so I've got my setup. Let me change my output so it won't keep showing up all over the place. Let me change the output for this one. So right now, the cool thing about this update is I can right click on this output and select edit. It'll bring me to the output, and I've got it set to a different style. So I'm gonna pick another style and we're gonna do live 2 training. We'll do that style. All right. And it pulls it down a little bit. Okay. Which is more than what I need. That's perfect. All right. So for the stage display, this one right now, for some reason, is not showing up what I want. So I go to my stage up here. You got your top 3 menu. You got your show, your edit, and your stage views. If I go here, this one is set to show the current slide. It's not set to keep the style, but it actually has this item number on it. So let me go back. And now you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here, to where It shows what's currently up. And you might have seen this if you've ever used PowerPoint, you'll see something like this, right? And it shows the next slide coming up. It shows you the progress, the time. And then if I wanted to start a timer, I could do that as well. That's something that you would have to have a conversation with. So first thing you need to be able to output from your computer, okay? You've got to be able to output from your computer. I recommend getting a device like this or having extra ports on your computer. Some of your computers are already built out to have a card that supports 4 or 5 different outputs, which is perfect for something like this because now you can manage it in that way. And I'm going to actually get rid of the video or the slides for now. All right, because that is distracting me. Okay, but the idea with that is you're going to need some way to get the signal out that's different from your audience display. So when you're in FreeShow, you can go to your settings and you can go to outputs and you can select for your primary output a certain screen, and then for your stage display a different screen. And that's where you would do it. You would pick a different output screen. Okay. And so for me right now, I've only got 2 screens. So if I'm sending something to the audience, it's going to have to be this one. And then if I'm trying to send something to the stage, I have no more screens left to do it. I would plug up this device. It would open up for me to plug in, up to 4 other monitors or outputs, so to say, and FreeShow will be able to read that. Okay. Brian says, I found the answer to the recording question. Oh yeah, Brian, I said it. I was talking about that earlier. I went to the to Facebook, right? I remember, yeah. So I saw that, and it records it into a WebM format. For those who I've never used that format, to be honest with you, so I don't know how to convert. I'm sure you can probably convert it. To For me, I don't use WebM, but it's something that is really cool that you can record your screen by doing that, which I love. I love it. Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that back up. For those who didn't get to hear me talk about that and or want to just read it, like you said, you just go to your media, go to the screens, and then right click on any of those screens, and it'll allow you to record whatever's happening on that screen while you're in FreeShow. Now that to me, side note, this is a timeout moment for Gary. FreeShow is getting crazy in terms of the ability that it has, and we have to kind of keep up with it because it is getting unbelievably powerful, and it's been powerful from day one, but it's getting more powerful in the sense that it is more polished, more refined, and it's more stable than ever. I know the funny thing for me, I don't use Pro Presenter. I've never really used it in a live environment. I've seen people use it a little bit, and then I've played with it for the free trial or whatever, where you can just get it with the watermark over it. So I've had it and played with it. It's funny when I watch videos about it, people always talk about how buggy it is. And for me, I've not had that same experience with FreeShow, where I don't feel like FreeShow is buggy. And I say it's not buggy. Let me explain why. I'm sure there's things that I've submitted tickets for and issues that need to be fixed. Okay. But with FreeShow, within 2 weeks, the new update comes out and it's fixed. Whereas with Pro Presenter, I don't think they come out with updates often enough to where those things can get fixed so quickly. So the issues I have, I don't have those issues forever. So I don't think it's buggy because they get fixed so quickly. I'm interested in hearing you guys' feedback on that. But that's my take on Pro Presenter versus FreeShow. I think FreeShow is by far more value than Pro Presenter, mostly because it's almost everything Pro Presenter has at no cost, right? Like if you can give me 95% of something, I say this a lot. So if you can give me 95% of something for free, or I have to pay for, for life for 100% of it, which one would I want? I would probably want the free version and just deal with the 95% on it. It's really more like 99%, to be honest with you, but that's just my perspective. That's there's room for opinion on that, right? But it's definitely robust. I'll just stop there at that. Okay. Now, what we need to discuss next is once you get your setup done, okay, once this is all outputs created, stage layout created, because when you do your stage layout, you actually go in and you actually set it up. So you go down to the bottom left and you select stage layout. Okay. And this brings us to our second point, and that is adjusting your stage layout. Now, to adjust your stage layout, you have to have a conversation with the people that are going to be on stage, right? For me, as a media person, my gift is not singing. I do teach, I have preached, and I love to train. I love to do all those things. but I don't sing. So I'm never up on stage singing. And if I'm on stage preaching or teaching, there's somebody else running the media, right? Typically. But if I'm in the back all the time, if I'm the one managing the cameras or running the soundboard or whatever it is, I really don't have a clue what they want to see on stage. And with Free Show, I would encourage you to invite every individual that's going to be on stage as a leader, right? So the worship leader, the choir director, whoever it is, ask them what's necessary, what's helpful for them to see. Because some people might say, hey, I don't want to see anything except what the audience sees. That's completely fine. You can do that. You can just go here and do a slide text, or you can just do the current output, right? So you can just say, okay, I'm gonna just put the current output up and make that be visible. Now, this one is something you got to be mindful of, because in the past, I've not used it recently, but it does take a toll on the system, as it was. This was 6 months ago. I was using this all the time, and I would notice that it would just the whole system would start to drag. I just haven't used it since then because I don't think it's necessary. But if they ask for it, that's an option, okay? That's just by hitting current output in the items. I can also just delete that, and I can go over to my items again, which I'm already in, and I can select slide text, all right? Now this is what I would recommend. If they say, I just want to see what the audience sees, then I would just put up exactly the content that the audience sees, and I would just make it big like that, all right? So they can literally see it all big. And if you want to, you can change the background of the whole thing. Let me see if we go here. Let's see here, source output. That's not it, but the background color right here under options, it lets you change the background if you want it to. I personally like it being black. You can maybe making it blue is subtle. You want to be as subtle as you can. That's what I'm saying. You want to be as subtle as you can with this because you don't want to draw attention. I'm the guy in the audience. When I visit churches and ministries and things like that, I'm always looking around at the technology. And if you got a big bright stage display, it's gonna distract me. I'm already distracted enough though, so it's not your fault. It's just that's just my take on it. All right. So you can set up your stage display. If we go back to items here, and you can add in. So let's say they say I want to see the current, and I want to see the next slide. All right. So I want to see the current slide really big, and then I want to see the next slide. All right. Go back to items, and when you hit this box that said text, or slide text, now it says next slide. When I click that, it pops up whatever's going to be next. And so for this one, I would bring it over and I would make it be, and you can ask them, obviously, I'm just telling you what I would do, right? So I'm just setting it up so you guys can see it, but I would make it like that. And I would make it a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit darker. So I would probably go to the text and I would make the text color be gray. So I would say choose custom, and I would be somewhere around here. Let's see, maybe like that. And so it stands out that that's the difference. Now, this is what they're going to see over here. If you look on the left, there's no divider, right? So I don't like that. Even though we can see these gray boxes, that's not the way that I would want to make it be. So I'm going to pull these down. I'm going to show you another option. When you go over to your options again, there's this option called show labels, all right? And this puts a divider line on it, okay? And so let me go back to my setup so you can see my stage display that I'm working on. And this one, I didn't name it yet. Let me go back and name it. Right, so we'll call this one, I'm gonna right click on it and rename. We're gonna call it FreeShow Friday Training. And you would name it whatever you want. You might call it Pastor's Stage or Worship Stage, or I got one called Speaker Stage. Stage Notes was one I did. This is a worship stage one as well. But these are all different layouts, okay? They're not, you don't cycle through these like you would a slideshow, even though it looks like the edit page of your slides. These are literally layouts that you want to use, and they're there, and they don't move unless you pick a different output or stage layout from the output section. So I'm gonna go to my settings here, and when I go to outputs and I select my stage, which is down here, it's got the box lit up on it, I can change my stage layout right here. And I'm gonna go to the one I just created, and it is called FSF Training. And that pops up, and now I can see it, and the people on stage will be able to see this as well if I had it connected to my setup. And notice how the words were cut off. You notice here, these labels that we put on there, they take up a little more space. You got to pull everything down a little bit so you can make sure that that's visible, and it's helpful, right? And you can change the color of that box. I like the yellow. It just keeps everything simple and clean, easy to identify. But that's how you can simply set it up. All you're doing is going to the items, and you just pick the item you want. So let's say they want to have a clock in there. You just tap the word clock, and it pops up a clock right over in the center of the screen, and then you arrange it where you want it to be, and you customize that clock to be, so let's see, we got options to make it be a digital clock, an analog clock, which looks like that. Analog clock, I would have to make it really big personally, but some people might prefer that. This is something that you can ask them. Hey, do you want it to be an analog clock or a digital clock, right? And then you can also just do a custom one where you can actually put it in almost like a CSS, but it gives you the option to just have it be simple with the hour, date, hour, minutes, and AM or PM. And then you can just go, I'm gonna go back to digital and I'm gonna just turn off the seconds, and it gives me the same look as that one, right? And I'll pull that down, and I can make it automatically is set to where it'll resize itself to fit in the window you've got. All right. Let's see. Brian's asking, what about using stage display to communicate to other team members at a different computer, maybe at a different station? That's a really cool way to do it, because with stage display, you can go into your connections and you can go here. You can actually send out a remote option to see stage display. You can turn it on and it'll give them a QR code. They can scan it. They can see it from any computer if they want to, or they can see it from, it's just changing my host name. Okay. But they can also see it from a computer. If they got OBS, you can send it out through an NDI signal or something like that. That's one way to do it. Now, if let's say, for example, taking that same idea, and this will answer both questions. I'm thinking about adding to your question to say, what if the people on stage need a special message, right? What I would do for that is I would go to my items and I would go to my text box option, but I won't click text box. I would actually click this little icon here, and it breaks down, and this gives you a lot of dynamic values. Dynamic values are values that are like I'm gonna call them a variable for lack of better words, where you can actually type in content, but this is more like a filler, right? So like for this case, it's the layout of the slides. Okay. You can have that if you wanted to, layout notes. You can have slide number if you wanted to, but if I scroll down to the bottom, you're gonna start seeing some custom variables here. And I might have one here, but let's say I wanted to use, let's see, website title. This is video. Let's see. I want to use one. Oh, we got one called important message. So I select important message. All right. And this is a variable that I've already made. I'm going to show you how I made it, but I want to pull this in to here. All right. So this variable is called important message. I'm going to make the text color of it be red. Okay. And so our audience won't see this, but the people on stage are going to see this. They can see this box that says important message. Okay. Now, in order for that to be filled in, though, I've got to go into FreeShow, because right now it's blank. If you look here, it just looks blank. If I go here to my variables, though, under functions, and I go over to my variables tab, you'll see that I've got options, and I think it's called important message. So it says this is important and it's off. I can turn it on and check out what happens. That message shows up there. So if you're sending a message to somebody on the on another computer, you might say, or maybe you're in a different booth than the sound or something like that. I don't know. You might say, turn up speaker mic. Okay. When I hit enter, it shows up there. And if they've got this display in their space, they'll be able to see this and they'll see it. And that's the area that they'll look at for their messages, right? And so yes, you definitely can talk to each other and to the people on the stage, right? So that you might, like I said, I always use the example of if somebody's lights are on in the parking lot and you want the speaker to make that announcement, you would put that in here. Okay. Let's see here. Javier has a question. Is there a way to switch between stage views quickly without going through the different steps? That's a great question, Javier. So if you want to do something quickly, right? This is my answer to anything you want to do quickly without having to really think about it. I always encourage you to make that into an action. All right. And so to switch stage views, you would go over, I know my actions and my variables look crazy, but if I hit this here, you'll see it looks, this is how they come in generally, but I've made a bunch of different tags because I do different, I have different meetings, I do video production. So I have shows and things like that I work with, and I use FreeShow for all that. And so if I were to go to my actions, you'll see all of my different actions here that I've used. I would go here and I would make a new action at the bottom, and I would just call it, let's say, I'm gonna just say stage training here. And I would say choose action. and it gives you this option under output to change the stage output layout, which is what we want to do. So I will go to stage layout, and I'm gonna go to free show training, and it says output all outputs or certain outputs, right? And so for me, I've only got, let me see, which one am I using? I'm using stage training, and I can see that right up here. It's kind of grayed out, but you can see it says stage training. These are all of my stage outputs. Okay, so I'm gonna select that one since that's the one I'm on. You can say all if you want to, and it'll be generic and it'll work just fine. And I'll make that a capital S. All right, and it's locked in. I'll just close this out. Now, here's the cool thing. If you really want it to be without having to think about it, you can set a custom activation, right? And that custom activation might be you want to change it when something specific happens. Maybe you wanted to change, let's see here, when a timer is ending, right? So maybe you got a worship timer. And this is the speaker stage, for example. I know I selected training, but act like this is the speaker stage we're going to use. You can say, hey, when this timer is ending, I wanted to switch to this. And that timer, you would pick what timer it is. You would say, okay, I wanted to pick when the worship timer. If you made one that's called worship timer, you would go down and pick the worship timer, right? I got a few different timers there. So you can do that if you wanted to, and it'll automatically switch to that stage view. That's the way I would recommend if you know ahead of time. But if you're doing it on the spur of the moment, you really don't have the flexibility to do that ahead of time, right? So I would just make the action is here, and then I would close it out. And then I would make another one. Okay. So which one? I call it, what do we call that? Let's, I think, oh, stage training. Okay, the next one I'm gonna call it stage worship. All right, and we'll say choose action again, and we're gonna do the same option, change stage output layout, and I'm gonna go to that one that says worship stage, and I'm gonna select the stage that I'm using, which is the training stage or stage training. You can keep it at all, which is fine. Most ministries are going to have a lot of different variables and things that you see on my screen, so you don't have to go through all the steps I do. I do try to be as specific as I can because it is important for me. And some of you all may be in the same role that I am, where you may be a media consultant and you're doing this in a lot of different roles for events and for services and TV shows or whatever it is. So you want to make sure you understand that too. So that's why I do that. All right. Now pay attention to this box up here for my stage. When I select stage worship, it automatically adjusts. Okay, so you can make that be there, and I can change it back to stage training, and it automatically changes automatically. And then if you want to get real fancy with it, you can make, I've got here, like I got podcast layouts, I got clearing actions, I got FreeShow Friday actions, and I've got live stream pictures actions. I can make a stage category, right? So I can right click on this to organize it and add a tag and say manage tags. And I'm going to call this new tag. We're just going to call it stage changes. All right. I hit enter, and then I can label it with a certain color, right? So I'm gonna make it be baby blue for now, and we'll close that. And now I can right click on stage training, and I can add a tag to it called stage changes. Okay. And this, I'm showing you this because this is helpful for your volunteers, right? Stage changes here, boom. Now, all they got to do is go to the stage changes. And when it's time to change the stage, they can go there and they'll see all the stage changes instead of seeing every action, right? All this stuff is here that you may have created that is used for other things. Just go to the one that says stage changes, and they can change back and forth from right there. Okay. And it'll automatically switch, as you can see up here in this right corner. This is what the stage, what's happening on the stage real time. Okay. So Javier, let me know if that helps answer your question. Now, here's the cool thing about it. Now that you've got that action, right? We're diving into actions a little bit, but this is all about taking the stage. So this is all still about stages. I can tie this particular action to a slide. So I can say, hey, when I get to this one, I wanted to go to that that stage, which one I put stage training, okay? But when I go to this slide, I want to be on stage worship. You would do this probably for different shows. I'm just showing you in a truncated way, right? So I go here, and it automatically changes the stage to look like that, okay? Because I dragged the action. Since I created the action, I can put it on any slide I want to. And I can arrow through, right? So I'm going through. It is still on that same stage display, but this one has an action on it that says change the stage. So when I arrow to the right one time, let me go to it. There we go. Uh-oh, I went too far. All right. I go one more. When I arrow to the right one time, it'll show up that way, and it'll actually change the stage. Let me change it back real quick. And arrow to the right once, and then arrow to the right again, and you'll see that stage change. Okay. And so once you create it, you can put it wherever you want to, as needed. Another cool way to do this, we've had some discussions on Free Show Fridays. You have to go back maybe a couple of weeks, and we had a discussion all about actions. But if you've got your service organized by sections, you can say, when I get to this section, I want to just have an action tied to it that shows the stage setup. Or my favorite is to go to your shows and categorize your shows, right? When you categorize your shows, you can right click on all your songs, and you can make all the songs have a category action that says whenever we're on a song, it's going to always show that stage display for worship, for example. Okay. And that way, whenever you get to that, it's going to automatically change without you having to think about it. That's the flexibility. Remember I told you guys, pro presenter people love it. I'm not one of those people, so I'm not going to say it that it's not a good program, but I will say everything that you'll want to do, I'm certain there's a way for you to do it in FreeShow, even if you're coming from pro presenter, which is kind of crazy to say. So keep that in mind. Every other program, worship, easy worship, and open LP, I've used that quite a bit. I've never used easy worship, but there's a lot of different Bible scripture programs, and that's all they focus on is just the scripture. Free Show is different in the sense that it is not, it's a Bible collection. It's, it'll be a Bible library. It's also a show library, but it's also a production software. You literally can use this for live productions. I'm doing it right now, right? This is literally what I use for my live production, for my live streams. If I wanted to switch to a talking head, I've got it to where I've still got my overlays in FreeShow. I'm using OBS to change things around, and I can show you guys my primary screen if I wanted to, and you can see it there. And this is what I do on my live stream that I'm doing with you guys. And so FreeShow is just robust in that way. All right, so I'll stop there. But that's adjusting the stage is what we've been talking about. Someone asked a question, hey, how can you share messages? You can do it this way, and then you can have the people that need to get that message. If they're on stage, they'll see it. If they're not on stage and they're in a booth somewhere, you send them that connection link. Okay. You send them that QR code here, or that IP address, and they can get access to this from a web browser, and they can see those notes, and you can type in there anytime you need to as well. And that'll just be between you and them if you want to. But yes, so there's definitely ways you can use that to communicate. Okay. The next point is custom text boxes. Now, this is the advanced. So that was our intermediate discussion. Okay. It was, I know that was not a beginner level discussion, but we progressed through this in this show. We progress and we move to different levels because everybody's at a different level. I've been doing this now for 6 months. 7 months now. I started in January, and I've been using FreeShow since December of 2024. And I've grown in my understanding of the program with you guys, right? So as much, if anybody started with me in December or January and progressed with me through the different videos I've released, that literally that's just my journey of understanding FreeShow. I promise you, I don't work for FreeShow. They don't pay me. I don't mind them paying me, but they don't pay me at all to do any of this. This is literally my own volition because I believe it's that powerful of a program. It's literally my commitment to contribute to the community. I know there are people that are awesome on Facebook that are doing some cool stuff, and I love that. There are people on Reddit that do cool stuff and they answer questions there. I love that. People on GitHub that are there answering questions and giving ideas and all that stuff. I love that. I'm probably not as smart as those people, to be honest with you, but I do have a video background. So doing YouTube videos was what was easiest for me to do. Okay. I have cameras and all that kind of stuff and lights. So it was easy for me to set up and do this and learn at the same time. So I'm literally learning real time with you guys. So I love the questions and the thoughts that you guys have. Let's see here. Hey Sue Man says hi. I think HY is that hi? How you doing? Let me know. And I'm not, I don't know a lot of text. It might be a text message term. I'm not sure. So hopefully that means hi. And if so, hello to you. Hey Sue Man. Javier says, I switched from easy worship to FreeShow because of all the features and flexibility. Yeah, Javier, you will not fall short of features and flexibility with FreeShow. I can guarantee you that. The biggest challenge is literally just learning them. And for you guys that are doing this as just volunteers or part-time, it's hours that you can invest in this program, and you'll still be just at the tip of the iceberg. And I say that for myself. The developer, his name is Christopher. He's like a genius to me. That's what I would call him. But he has designed this program because he used to use Pro Presenter, and he literally went home after a situation. He was like a youth camp or something like that. And he used the program, I think like Easy Worship. It might not have been that one, but he used it because he didn't have they didn't have you got to pay for pro presenter like seats, I guess you can call it. That you got to pay for each seat. And Easy Worship may be the same, I don't know. But he didn't have the license to go take it to this youth camp that he was at. So he downloaded another program and he took that with him, and it wasn't as easy as he thought it would be. Coming from pro presenter, it just wasn't the same format and all that kind of stuff, as you can imagine. He came home and he said, I'm going to make a program that allows me to go to youth camp and have the flexibility that I need. So that's where Free Show evolved from. And it's been evolving ever since. And this was several years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I'm not sure. But since then, he's continued to support this program to develop it in a way that it is constantly getting better, right? And he's got that pro presenter background, so he's always thinking about it from the standpoint of flexibility and things like that. So yeah, that's the idea, and I agree. And for me, I've committed hours just throughout my days, just committed to just learning how to use it. And he'll still send me some feedback on videos like, "Hey Gary, that's a great video. There's another way you can do that by doing this." And I'm like, really? I didn't even know. Like, how do I? And so I'll usually follow up. I'll say, hey, you guys, here's something else I learned. Check this out. This is another way to do what I just made a video about the other day. This is a better way to do it, most likely, because he built it. So he knows every nook and cranny of the program. All right. Hey, Sue Man says, very helpful. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm glad to hear it, my friend. Let's see here. Make sure I don't miss any of the comments. All right. So let's talk about custom text boxes inside of the stage display. All right. So we've built our stage, right? We went from the very beginning. We know what we need, right? We need a device. If you need a device like this, you'll see it in my comments. It is a affiliate link. So if you use it, it'll be the same price for you. It'll just give me a bit of a commission on it. But this device allows you to add four devices, four monitors, I should say, to your computer. And it uses USB-C or just regular USB, right? It's got a little adapter to it, which is pretty cool. All right. I bought this with my own money and I like it. It does need a power USB-C too. So you got it on the back side of it. Somebody I talked to on a consultation, they were like, I like the device idea, but how does they didn't know, does it power from your computer? It does not power from the computer. It just connects. It powers through USB-C. So you got to have another USB-C cord. I just got mine plugged up to what is this called? The power strip, like a power strip. And then I got it with a little phone charger port and a USB-C to plug in here when I want to use this, and it powers it up. You need that. And then you also need another display, right? So you need a display, and or some people say, hey, I don't want to necessarily use another display. So you wouldn't even need this. If you're going to do it all virtual, let's say you're going to just send the signal through your connections, right? Just wirelessly through your network. Like you said, I think Brian was asking about, can you use it to communicate with other people on your team? Maybe you guys all using tablets and you got the stage display connection on your web browser, the IP address for the stage display from your settings, right? And that's how you all are communicating from, the people from the booth are communicating. They're saying, hey, we're going to show the stage show. And that's how we're going to be talking to you guys. So send me a message through there. Not send me a message, but I'll send a message from there to you guys. Really, that's what it is. And they should just give the results. You're going to talk to them, asking them to move or do this or change that. They'll just do it, right? So there's not a really need for two-way conversation with it, but they can see that, and or the person on stage, the speaker can take a tablet with them and they can see the stage display that you're projecting out wirelessly, right? So you're not even sending it to a real screen. It's just on, and you've got it set up to where it's being stage connection on, or they're connecting with it through NDI. NDI would be a stretch because I would only use that mostly for like OBS or maybe to another computer, but it would still need to be hardwired. Even with these connections, I would still say it's best to have them hardwired. But if they're on stage and they got a wireless iPad or even a computer, you might have a wired connection up on the stage for your computers. That would be a really reliable way for your people on stage to see it without having to mount up a whole new big display or projector or whatever you might have in your sanctuary or your meeting room. Okay. Let's see here. Javier says, this week I started to contribute to the Spanish translation for Free Show. Hey, on GitHub. That is awesome, man. I know that is going to be crazy as well. I don't speak Spanish. My wife wants to learn how to speak Portuguese. And so I've got the Portuguese Bible on here. So I've started just learning how to read Portuguese a little bit from that, just from, I know what the Bible scriptures are, and I can kind of identify from there. Brian says maybe a future feature upgrade, the ability to send a text to a stage display. That would be crazy. Send a text to a stage display. You got me thinking, Brian, because it's not a text. Have you guys seen the option for the feeds? Look, let me go to Q&A time. I'm not talking about custom text boxes yet, but there is, let's see, it's not metadata. I'm looking for the setting and I'm trying to remember what it is, and I can't remember off the top of my head where it is. For there's like a feed, a RSS feed. That really wouldn't be the same thing, but there's an option for RSS feed in here somewhere, and I can't remember where. Okay, that's files, backup, restore. I'm gonna say if it's under connections, I'm gonna be mad at myself, but that's not it either. It's got to be under output. Okay, so under general, let me see if it's under manage metadata. No, it's not metadata. I made a video about this. No, maybe not. We talked about it on the Free Show Friday, but there's this, manage dynamic values. There it is. So RSS feeds are an option where you can actually go in here and you can add in a URL and a text separator and all that stuff. Now you guys are geniuses that are doing the stuff that you do. So you might have a way where you can put in an RSS feed, like a URL where you all typing back and forth, and that you can put into your stage display or something like that, where you can communicate back and forth potentially. I don't know. I would change the interval. Obviously, it needs to be quick. Well, no, it only goes down to 5 minutes, so I wouldn't do that. Never mind. I'm not going to act like I know what that would do it, but that is a cool option that you can actually embed RSS feeds into your shows. Or I would see it'd be pretty cool if you had like a news feed and it was Christian news or something like that, or the weather, I guess, I don't know, something like that, that you could use, that you wanted to show during your countdown or in your lobby or something like that. That would be cool for the RSS feed. But that text message thing, that's crazy, Brian. You should submit it on GitHub. I bet Christopher can figure that out. He probably could figure it out probably pretty easily. But that would be a cool one. So let's talk about custom text boxes. So we've talked about the stage display. We know how to set it up. We know how to adjust it. We built this one together just now, where it's got the current slide, the next slide, a clock, and an important message. Okay. There's more things you can add. You can add media to it if you wanted to. I don't recommend it, but you could. Timers, that's a big one. You can add those. And then the progress, that's an option as well. People want to see how many more slides they have. You can do that. And that progress is kind of crazy because if I click on it, and my computer is lagging because I've changed some settings in my OBS. So forgive me if it's not as clean as it is. Is everything looking clean on you guys in when it comes to my my video? Like me, myself, am I looking okay? If I'm not, I'll switch over and just show full screen. But I'm just curious. All right, so you can show the progress here. Now, the crazy thing is with the progress, if you go here, you can see the type of progress it is. You can show it as a number, but you also can show it as a progress bar. This is kind of the coolest to me. It's like so cool. All right. So you can show it as a progress bar. May not make sense for a worship service, but it makes a lot of sense for like a show, like a TV show or podcast or something like that. So if I go back, let's see here. We're going to go back to another slide. Here's a show. Okay. So we'll go to this show and we got the show. All right. Now check out the progress bar. It's only showing a little bit of progress, right? When I arrow up, it goes to the next slide. The progress bar goes up and it goes up again. Each slide I progress, the progress bar goes up. That is like one of those cool features that we don't talk a lot about, but it's really cool to me. I love that feature in Free Show. I can arrow up and it just continues to progress. You can do that as your progress feature. And you can make it be anything else you want, right? In terms of the numbers. But the other cool part about it is if I select this and I go to progress bar, I can change it to be groups, right? So if I had groups, you can see verse 1, verse 2, chorus, bridge, bridge 2, bridge 3, bridge 4, right? So for this song, that song is broken up into parts. So it's got a verse 1, a chorus, a bridge 2, and all that kind of stuff, right? So as I go through the lyrics, you'll see that it'll go through and it'll change. So now we're on the bridge. Now, the way I've designed this in the past for worship teams so they can see it a lot easier is I would pull that down to be at the very bottom of the screen. So let's say we made this a little bit smaller. I'm just going to adjust some things real quick. We'll go back to adjusting just briefly here. And so I will pull this up and pull this down. And it just gives you a really clean and cool look for people on stage to know, because they think in music likely. I don't think in music, so it won't make any sense to me. But for them, it might be helpful. I can imagine it would be helpful at least. And you can let them know. The reason I'm doing all this is so you guys can know what it offers, so you can talk to them about it in a meaningful way, right? That's my role as a consultant. I'm always thinking about it from that standpoint. All right, let's see. I'm just trying to drag this out to be longer. There we go. So now you can see all this stuff here. And then I might say, you know what? I'm going to put a background on this. And we'll put a green background. No, that doesn't look too good. We'll do yellow maybe. Yellow's pretty bright. And if I do that, I would go here and I would see about turn off the shadow. So let's turn off the shadow. Does that do it? Yeah, let's reset that. Did it go away? Okay. Turn that on. All right. And my computer, my CPU is taking a load. I'm recording on OBS and doing the live stream, and I'm doing it all through software. I usually do it through hardware. I forgot to make that change before I got started. I've been doing some testing on some other stuff, and yeah. But yeah, so you can do that change right there. Okay. Sorry I didn't get to get the shadow off. I don't even see where that shadow is. I thought it would be in here, but it seems like it's over here on the shadow, and the blur is there. We don't need the blur at all. So let's make that be 0. Maybe that'll make it go away. All right. Yep. It didn't go away, but you can see the idea. It'll show and progress through the song in that process where they can see where they are in the song. As I go through one slide to the next, you'll see it go from bridge 1 and eventually to go to bridge 2, and they can see where they are. I love that. Now, custom text boxes. Oh, let's see here. Okay, I'm all clear. That's perfect. Yeah, my computer's working hard to make sure this is clear, you guys. I can feel it. It doesn't usually get too hot, or it's not loud. I got a little fan on over here, which is fine, but yeah, that's hilarious. The custom text box option in your stage view is something that is unbelievable, but I got to show it to you by doing something a little bit different here. So I got to show you some scriptures. Let's do Galatians 5. All right. All right. So we got Galatians 5 here, and this is what the audience would be seeing. Ignore the overlays. That's just for the show, right? But they would see that. And now here on stage, this is what we're seeing. Now notice that. Check out the bar down here now. It shows each verse. That is, I didn't even know that. I've never tried that part. So it shows Galatians 5:2, 5:3, 5:4, so da. It just shows the name of each slide. And it's coming from what I've got down here. So in this space here, it's pulling that content out of here. And this is where the verses and where the groups would be typically, right? It's pulling that content out of there, which is awesome. And this is just a show that I made from the Bible, the scriptures tab. And I just selected, I think this is the whole chapter of Galatians 5. See, this is my Portuguese Bible now. But if I'll do it English. But when I went to Galatians, I just went to the chapter 5. There we go. And selected all. I just right clicked and I said select all. And then I right clicked again. That goes all the way down to verse 26. I right clicked again and just converted it to a show and automatically made those in there. Okay. So it gives you that cool look if you wanted to of your stage display to show each chapter and verse. You probably wouldn't have a whole chapter for a message. So you probably have a few verses. It'll show each of those, which is really cool. All right. So custom text boxes for your stage. Let's say you just want to show the verse reference, let's say. All right. So in here, we just want to show Galatians chapter 5, verse 2, because the person on stage is going to be reading from the Bible, and everybody else in the audience, they can see it. They're going to be reading, looking down at the Bible. Anyway, they don't want to see that up there because they're not going to try to read it from there. Okay. You can go over here after you select that text box and you can say item number. So you can go to item number 1 and it'll show you Galatians chapter 5, verse 2. Or you can say, okay, I want to show item number 2. And it'll just show you the actual text of the scripture and not the reference. And you can do the same thing with your next slide. You might say this one is going to show just the upcoming reference, and this one's going to show the text. Really cool, right? You know, those you guys may or may not have seen it, but there's sales shows where people say, but wait, there's more. Now, this becomes interesting when you try to use a Bible that has multiple languages, right? So I go back to this Bible, and you notice here I got that. I'm going to keep it in Galatians chapter 5, and I'll just do a few verses. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I've selected 4 through 8. I can right click on that, and I can say convert to show. It says max verses per line. I just want 1 verse per line. I do want to split the reference. So that means it's going to show the reference on each slide like we saw earlier. And then reference on the first slide, I don't need that. Some churches, you might need that, and that's fine. Feel free to select that. I'm going to select convert to show. And now I've got this here. And we got more than just 2 text boxes. Now we got 1, 2, and 3. This is where it's fun because whatever language the person on stage speaks, that would be the version that I would show. So right now, this is English, and then this is showing the actual references like we did earlier. But let's go into it as a stage settings. Let's look at the layout. If I select this again, I can go to 1 that shows the reference, go to 0 and it shows everything. But I can go to 1, that's English at 2. And then if I go to 3, this is the other language, right? So your speaker may want to just show 1 language at a time, which makes sense for the stage display, right? And so this one, I would do the same thing. I'll make it be at version 3 or item number 3. And it's just going through that actual slide, and it's each box has a number or item number, I should say. And it's saying, hey, we'll just show this for the people on stage. Everybody in the audience is still seeing both languages. Okay. But the person on stage, they may not be reading in both languages. They're going to probably just read it in 1 language and that's it. Right. And so this is a really cool way to use your stage and customize what people see on the stage. All right. Let's see. Brian says, can you personalize stage displays, i.e. sound booth, camera station, etc.? Can you personalize it? Tell me what you mean by personalized, Brian. But I would say yes, because you can have the different stage displays, right? So you can they call different layouts. And so what you would do is the people that are on the cameras, going back to your scenario, you were talking about how to communicate with each other, right? So the people on, and I'm gonna just make that real quick. Let's create one. I'm gonna go down here to this new layout. That's a fun idea, by the way. So I'm gonna say camera team, boom. And then I'm gonna make another layout. I'm gonna call this one sound team. If I could, let me spell it correctly. Hold on. All right. So let's say we're communicating with those 2 teams, the camera team and the sound team. What we need to do is we need to create a custom message that we're going to be talking to them through. So I'm going to go back to my show just so I can get to my functions tab. Okay. I'm going to go to functions. And now we're just doing some, we'll call this one, Brian, you're going to be the feature of figuring out FreeShow today. All right. So we're figuring out a way that we can use FreeShow to communicate with different teams in our media group. All right. So, I'm going to go to my functions tab here, and I'm going to select variables. All right. When you go to variables, you're going to get a list of all kinds of cool stuff. Okay. Now, going back to what I said about actions, it's the same thing. I got a bunch of different color coded actions. I would do the same thing for my variables. And so first thing we'll do is make a new variable. We're going to call this camera team. We'll call it camera team messages. All right. I'm going to hit enter. It locks it in. And then we'll do another one. Right click. Not right click, just select new variable and then select text. We're going to call this one, what did I say? What was the other team we had? Sound team messages. All right. So we got those. Now I need to right click on sound team messages. I'm going to put it in a separate space. basically another tag, right? The tags are kind of like what I would consider categories. All right. So we'll say new tag, and we're going to call this media team messages. And this is a way for you to find it pretty easily if you need to communicate with somebody on the media team. And I want to change the color of this one. I want it to be red. All right. All right. So now I can right click on sound team messages and I can set it to that red tag, media team messages. And then we got to go to the camera team messages, right click on that, set that tag to media team messages as well. Now to get to those, I still see actions, timers, and variables, but you can hit this little, I call it a caret, but it's an arrow, I guess. Hit that and it'll pop up and you'll see media team messages. You can go there and you can type in there, camera team, I'm going to say pan right. And for the sound team, I'm going to say turn drums up. Okay. Now you got to have a good relationship with these guys. For like with the sound team, you tell them to do something, you hear it, and they can't. If they're volunteers, they may be okay with it, but if they're experts or experienced users, be mindful of the way you communicate. Obviously, so I wouldn't, don't let this come across as something that Gary said to tell you to turn the drums up. I didn't say that. Talk as delicately and professionally as you need to. But this is a message. Okay, so we got this variable. There's a message that says camera team messages and sound team messages. I had to create that so that now when I go to my stage, I can go to my sound team and I can select an option for a text box. This is not a slide text. They don't need to see the slides. We're trying to communicate. So we need a text box, but I don't want just a regular text box. If I click that, it's just going to give me something here to type. I don't want to go there to type. I want to be in FreeShow and typing and not having to come to my stage layout to do the typing. So I'm going to delete this out. We don't want that. All right. So I select that and hit delete. I'm gonna hit this is like a caret. This is a little drop down. And I'm gonna scroll all the way down to the bottom where you'll see your own variables that you've created. And the last ones you create will be at the bottom. So I'm gonna select, this is my sound team stage. So I'm gonna select sound team messages. And I'm gonna pull it all the way across. And we'll make it as big as we need to, or big as we can. Boom. All right. And let's go to the text box. And the font size is set to 100. You can make it be a little bit bigger. So that's that. So they can see that easily on their side. Now, I'm looking on the left side there, you'll see that it says turn drums up, but in here it just says sound team messages. It's variable. It'll change to whatever you type in that variable box, right? Same thing I would do up here. So I would go up to the camera team. I would hit that little drop down, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Camera team is there for my camera team messages and pull that over here, make it a little bit bigger. And I would do the same thing. I would go to my text box, make it be a little bit bigger. And this way you can communicate with them right away from the booth that you're in to the space that they're in, or from the space you're in to the booth that they're in. All right. And so that's how I would personalize the stage displays. Now, for them as a user, oh, well, you know what? We can do it this way. Let me show you guys what they would see. Let me see if I can pull that up. All right, hold on. So that's that. I'm trying to find my internet page. Okay, here we go. All right, so we got this here. That's good. I'm gonna go into FreeShow. I'm gonna go to my connections. We're gonna turn on stage. All right, I'm gonna show you what they're gonna see. All right, so I can hit this. Will it do what I want? Okay, yes, it'll take me right to it. Here's what they'll see when they go into that link, that IP account, or that IP address, I'm sorry. They're going to see an option to pick which one they need to be in. So if I'm the cameraman, I'm going to go to the camera team. And it's going to show me exactly what I need to see right there. All right, this is on the computer on the internet. Okay, and I say on the internet, it's on the network. And I might have a tablet, or even on my phone, they could do the same thing on their phone and see the messages right there. So they can have this propped up on the camera so they can literally see what you want them to do from their phone as a little monitor, which would be another cool way to do that too, Brian, which I like as well. And they'll see that it says pan right. But let's say we change that. Let me see if I can show both of these. Minimize that And I'm gonna pull this over here. Let's see. And I'll pull this over here. All right, so this is the message that they're getting through the network. This is our stage layouts. All right, this is our free show. I'll go down to show again. And I'm gonna go over to the sound team message. It's kind of locked up. Let me see if I can make it a little bit wider. I narrowed my screen, so work with me here. There we go. There we go. All right. So instead of saying pan right, I'm gonna say cut to let's do trumpets. I don't know. Whoever's there. We'll say cut to trumpets. When I hit enter, it automatically updates and they see that message. And all I did was go into my variables for my media team messages and and I can do the same thing. The people that are on the sound, they would have went to that link, that IP address, and they would have been able to, let me go back. Let me see. Will it let me go back? It won't let me go back. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I can go home and they can go to the sound team and they'll see turn up drums, but you're in the booth. You're the mastermind of the media. So I can go here. Instead of saying turn up the drums, we're going to say turn down far right singer, let's say. And it'll show down. It'll show up, I should say. Looks, I'm reading it and saying it different. So turn down far right singers, what they're going to get the message of, and they can do that. And then, as the polite media people that we are, we'll do something like that. Once they do it, we'll send them a thank you, right? Because you can communicate with them throughout. And so you can do all that while you're still managing your shows and all that kind of stuff. And Free Show, you may have already pre-recorded them, so they're just running, and you're doing this while Free Show is running everything that is running. Like I said, this never stopped. The background was still moving. All that stuff was still going on. This is the crazy part about Free Show. It lets you do all this kind of stuff all at the same time. Really cool. Great idea, Brian. I love it. You got to submit that one along with the text message thing. Submit that in GitHub. For those who have not been on GitHub, let's check it out. Brian Richards says, can you put a lower third in a stage display with an identifier such as sound team or camera team? Put a lower third in a stage display. A lower third from what would be my question, if that makes sense. Lower. So you're saying, do you want it'll be lower third to a camera feed? So there's a camera feed that they're looking at, and then in that lower third is going to say something to them. Help me out if that's the case. And I can show you how, because I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just want to make sure I understand exactly what you're saying there, Brian. Can you put a lower third in a stage display? Because when I think about lower thirds with a stage display, the only thing that comes to mind is like just moving it to the lower part of the stage display. I can just drag this down and it'll be in the lower thirds. But when I think about lower thirds, the other thing that comes to mind is I'm thinking about video, right? So it's down here because there's video up here is what I always think about, me having a video background. I got a film background. Like I said, I've got my documentary that just came out. But let's see here. Let me know, Brian. I've got, my main question is, what's showing up on the screen primarily? What's the primary function of the screen? And then you want this stage display to be shown, to show this text, right? I'm thinking you're still talking about the communication stuff. Can you put a lower third in a stage display with an identifier such as sound team or camera team? Because I'm thinking you can do that pretty easily if you were to make a separate output. So let's do what I'm thinking you're talking about. Until I hear from you, I'm gonna run with it. So a lower third, you would set up let's see, I got live stream number 3 here. I'm gonna turn that on. It says beginner training green. Let's activate that. Let's see what it looks like. All right. So I got a green screen here, and you said you want it to be a lower third. Let me see so this is beginner training green. Let me go to my styles for beginner training green. And this is beginner training green here. It's got lower third lyrics transparent and lower third scripture transparent. Now, what I would say based off my thoughts of a lower third feed for them because they can get it through NDI maybe a little bit easier is what I'm guessing would be a benefit of this, is that you can set this up, but you would set up a new template that would make a style that's called camera team template, lower third, and what's the other one we said? Sound team template, right? And so if we explore this, let's go back to our show. Let's go to templates and let's do, I'm gonna do a new category and I'm gonna call it media team templates, right? Lock that in. And now my media team templates, I got that category created. I'm gonna select new template and we're gonna call this one sound team. Boom. All right. Same idea as the stage display, but this one's gonna be a text box. And in order to get that to be a lower thirds, I'm just gonna drag it down to be shorter, right down here. And we'll pull it down here. And then you just right click in there. So actually, let me delete this text out. So this will actually stay there if you don't. I'm gonna right click on that and I'm gonna select dynamic values, right? Our variables are dynamic values. These are all default to the system. These are like system stuff like video countdowns and all that kind of stuff and the time of day, year, day, month, and all that kind of stuff, which are default. But if you go down to the bottom, you'll see your variables. And I'm gonna do, this will be the camera team. Let's see. All right, so camera team messages will be there. Actually, I select the sound team. Let's delete that. Let me make that be sound team. I named it, this template is that. So I'll right click and I'll do dynamic values. And we'll say sound team. All right. And I'm going to duplicate this though and do the same thing for the camera team. And I'll right click and rename camera team. And this is a part of, if I can make that a capital T, a part of the process and the workflow of using templates. Okay. They're fundamental. All right. So I'm going to right click on this and edit it right there. And now I'm going to delete out sound team because we're doing the camera team. So I'm going to right click in there again and I'm going to put a dynamic value for this, the camera team. Right. So we go there. And so now the camera team, oh man, I picked the wrong one. Sorry, you guys. All right. So all right. So camera team needs to have, so this, it switched up on me. So let me make this be the sound team again. They go in alphabetical order down here and I accidentally hit the wrong one. So let me go to sound team here, scrolling down to the bottom. And then I'll go here to edit. I'll make this one be the camera team. Delete that out and I right click and add a new dynamic value. And all I'm doing is the same thing I did with the stage. That's camera. Okay, so camera team, sound team. Now, for this output, this is the one they're going to have on NDI, maybe on OBS or something. I don't know where they're getting this from, but I can go to show. Actually, no, I'll go to settings and I could go to my beginner training. I'm on that style. I can make this one, I can duplicate that and make it be called, I'm gonna just rename it for now. I'm gonna call it camera team. And I'm just gonna change this override slide with a template. And I'm gonna make it say, what do I call it? This is camera team, I think we said. So I'll go to camera team template. We can close that out. And so now I got the camera team for the camera team style. Here's the deal. So we got that set up. It's showing background slides overlays. We don't need any of that. So I'm gonna turn off background. I'm gonna turn off slides. I don't need any of those things to show up. And the background color, I'm gonna just make it be black just for simplicity's sake. All right. And we got that there. Now, the one thing I forgot to do, if I go back to my show to edit that template, here's the deal. See how it changes everything? So the deal with this is we want that to only go to the main. So this is mixed up for that, but I'm gonna right click on this real quick. We got to edit this camera team and we need this to only go to our camera team. What was this? Whatever this one is, I think it's live 2. No, three. It's 3 live training. All right. So I'm going to right click on this text box, and I'm going to say specify specific outputs just to the 3 live streaming. All right. So it's going to be there. This box is only going to show up to them in that particular output that they're sharing. Okay. What's that sound team? I like your idea about it. I can. So Brian's got back with me. Says, I mean a box at the bottom that says sound team. Oh, at the bottom of what though, Brian? At the bottom of the stage or at the bottom of where? That would be my question. I hear what you're saying, but tell me where at the bottom. But what I did right here is I set this up to where it's only going to show up on one output. This one message is okay, and so you got to be careful with these templates because if you're not careful, what they'll do is they will actually change your layout. So check this out. It looks real funky here, but this layout is still showing up here for that. If I go over to the next slide, it does that adjustment to where it just cuts off some of the text that we had because we had 3 text boxes there. All right. That's where your override slides comes in and becomes important. Okay. But what we don't want is we don't even want any of that content to be in this particular in the message, any of this stuff. So what you might do, Brian, I would probably consider doing it as a an overlay. Maybe as an overlay on an output might be even simpler, and you could turn the slides off and it just be an overlay on the camera team. And so now it's completely blank, and you can go back and you can change your show. Yep, let's make it be an overlay instead of it being these templates. We won't really need, they don't need to be a template so much. They just need to show up. And so what we would do is we would say overlays, and we would do the same idea though. So I'm gonna go make a new category, call it media team, hit enter, and then right click, not right click. I'm gonna go over here and make a new overlay. Same way, looks exactly like a template. We call it camera team for now. We're not gonna do both, but you can duplicate this as needed. So we'll do camera team and we'll do text box, and we're gonna right click in there, select the dynamic value. It's gonna be our camera team message, right? So camera team there, and it's there. But right click on that one and only make it for a specific output for 3 live training. In my case, live stream, I'm sorry, 3 live stream. All right, so cut the trumpets is there. When I'm ready for that to show up, I can just click it and it'll show up there. And it's only showing up on this output here. All right. I've got this output here. I got to fix that one, but that one looks so funky. Let's go back to this one. These have a template already to them. So I'll go here. Let's say this is showing up. All right. And so the audience sees this, the cameraman sees that. But like I said, it's on a blank screen. So this is where I get confused. Where would you want it? So it says, even if you could, it would be, okay. So impact time 22 says it would be nice to be able to not only output over the local network, but also over the internet. Yeah. There are ways to do that according to some people. I just don't know how to do that. I'm guessing you got to do a setting in your router. And that was some while ago, somebody brought that up, but there's a way to do that. It says, even if you could connect it to more TVs, maybe via browser would be an easy way. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, is that you would turn this on as a connect output. And so we go back out here, go to our outputs. This is called 3 live training connections. I'm sorry. And so you can say, output show. Let's see. Okay, so let's go to that. And it shows up there, right? If I click in here, let's go back over to FreeShow. You can change, at least you used to be able to, what was the output show? Huh. Let me go to settings here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So you go to that little settings cogwheel and you can say the output for this, I want it to be the 3 live training. And then you can set the limit the number of connections and use host name instead of the IP address. You can do that if you wanted to, and you can also determine if it's going to have audio, all that good stuff. Now, when I go back over here and refresh, oh, did I save it? I don't think I saved it. Let me right click on that again. Oh, now right click, select it, and then go here. Okay, so it's there. I just got to change the slide. All right, so let's go to our next slide. And it should update to show me a different output. And it should show this one, but it doesn't. I've turned off the whatchamacallit, there we go. Okay, I just need to refresh it and come back out. So this, okay, it updated. So this is what you could do it that way as well. So what we did was I turned on this output, I put an overlay over it that only points to that output, and now the media team, they're all connected to this IP. When I click on this, they're connected to this IP address. They can scan their QR code before they go to their cameras or whatever it is, and they can, get on their phone. They can literally see that message. So if I select this and I go to my camera now and I scan that, it's going to pop up the IP address. And as long as my camera is on the same Wi-Fi network as my computer, I'll get that same message. And so now on my phone, I'm going through, let me scroll up. I want to make sure I can see it right. And it's not showing up on here yet because I didn't really change anything. Let me go back to my show. Let's see. If I turn it off and turn it back on, will it show up? There we go. So on my phone, it's showing the trumpets. It's saying, hey, cut the trumpets. Now, I wouldn't keep it in the lower thirds because it's just a blank screen, but I would just put it, back in the middle, right? So I would right click on this overlay and edit it. And I would pull it up front and center, kind of like we did with the stage. And it's going to the live stream only. It's only going to the 3 live stream. Is the name of my output. Whatever your output is called, you would have that here by right clicking on this. Remember, we did that. We right clicked and said I wanted to go to just a specific output. And so this overlay, when you click it, it's only going to go to that particular group. And I would just keep it on all the time. Just keep it on throughout the entire service. And all you're doing is typing in here to your media team. Right now it says cut the trumpets. We want to say cut to audience. And now it says cut to audience. You'll see it there, right? And they'll see it as well. Now, the cool thing is it needs to be updated. Let me change. It did change here. Let me go to my templates. No overlays. Sorry. Did I make that? Yeah, there we go. I had to refresh it. So it pops up now. It's in the middle like we want it to be. All right. Great questions, you guys. Hopefully that's some fun feedback and ideas that you all can see ways to implement it. Okay. Like I said, that's my goal, is just kind of do my best to expose you to as much as you can about FreeShow with the working knowledge that I do have. And then you all run with it and let me know how it goes out. I know you guys are doing a lot of cool stuff with it. So let me know how it works out for you, because I know there are a lot of different ways to do this stuff. So just like any good program, there's probably 3 or 4 different ways you can accomplish this. Today we saw 2. We saw it through the stage. We saw it through an overlay, actually 3. So we saw it also through a template, kind of. The template thing, I didn't spend a lot of time with it because I think the overlays is better and or the stage is better. If we're going to still be sending it through a connect IP address from the connect menu, or connect setting, I should say, connection setting, I wouldn't worry about it trying to be lower thirds or anything like that. All you gotta do is just make sure it's just gonna go to that one. If you're gonna do it as an overlay, that specific output. But if you're gonna do it as a stage display, I really like that, because then they can just go in there and pick their stage display, and you don't even have, I mean, that's just a really cool way. They just pick a stage layout and you don't have to make a separate anything here. All you're doing is making a stage layout and it automatically is going to show up. So personally, my favorite is the stage layouts, and send them, they get the IP address, they pick their media, their team name, camera or sound or whatever it is. And the person behind the scenes is this running FreeShow will be communicating with them directly from the variables and typing it out there. Let's see here. Brian says the overlay is only an identifier to let the sound team. I'm guessing you say no, that this message is for them. Oh, so 2 text boxes, top for specific message, bottom for the team name. Oh, you mean like a label. I think that's what you mean, at least. So if we go back to the to I don't went all around about and you just talking about a label. That makes sense. That makes sense. If we go to, let me see what this label would be. If I made this be a label, show labels. Yeah, so let's say camera team message on it. And then this one, if I were to turn on the labels on this stage, it would say sound team messages. So it would be labeled based on whatever your variable is called. So you can put both of these in there for sure. Let's move that down. And I can add in another text box and go to items and scroll down to the bottom. We got the sound, so I'm gonna add the camera team and they'll be there. Thank you for clarifying that, Brian. That's a great look. That's a much makes a lot more sense to me to think about it that way because it is very easy to do, but also makes a lot of sense as well. All right, so this one's set to 100. This one's set to 150. So I'll make them both be the same size. Let's pick that, make it be 150. And so now they both are seeing a message that would be for each of them. This stuff, I wouldn't even worry about that. I think you're saying you're fine without any of those extra outputs. You're just talking about the labels in the stage display, which I still think is the best way to do this. So the labels in the stage display would be the best route to take. Let me turn off all that extra jazz I did. So you wouldn't even, you can keep the stage outputs, but you don't need these other outputs here. And then this one here, I don't need that. So I would edit that and I'm gonna turn that off. We wouldn't even need it. And that would be it for sure. Yeah, I like that a lot. And so all I did was go over and I labeled it on the stage. So this is a big part of the stage layout that we got to remember is that if you go over to the right, there's an option here that gives you the option to turn on the labels. I would love for them to be there by default, but apparently that's not a, I get why they're not there by default. Let me put it that way. So I get that. I'm not saying they need to be there by default, but they're kind of hidden off on the side. But yeah, hopefully, does that make sense, Brian? Is that what that's what I think you're talking about there? To have it like that. I love that idea. Personally, I love the idea. And then going back to what we did last time, the people on stage, let me see, they would see that. Not on stage, but the people in the they would go, I'm trying to make this visible to them. So they would go, this is on the sound team. So I go back home. You would just name one just called media team, but you go there and it will show up both of their messages for you. Okay. And they would be able to see those on their phone or on their tablet or another computer if they log in or go to that IP address. Great, great, great idea. What other questions do you guys have for me before I let you go? We're getting right at that hour and 45-minute mark, almost 2 hours, but I want to make sure we answer any questions you have. Today was all about taking the stage. So we took over the stage display. We understood or learned how to start with a stage display, right? It's not just showing the same thing the audience sees. It's literally a custom screen in FreeShow that you can customize, and you got to have conversations. We learned how to adjust the stage display, and we learned how to add custom text boxes to a very advanced level is what I would call it. Brian gave us some feedback and you guys all chimed in. This is a really cool way to do it as well, to where you can make it to where you can send custom messages, not just set the custom text box, but send custom messages with variables and custom stage layouts and tying that into the connections menu in FreeShow to where you can literally have one-way communication right now, at least. Brian's going to work on getting us two-way communication, I think, by turning on the connections page here. All right. Now, if you're not using these, make sure to turn them off. Okay. I'm going to turn mine off because I'm not going to be using that. But I love the idea and it works out really cool. Very cool way to do that. I don't see any new questions down there, you guys, but if you do, make sure to send them to me. You can go to my website, GaryBJr.com, and also remember to check out that documentary that came. If you want to support the channel, support what I'm doing, that is a great way to do it. I hope it's an entertaining opportunity for you guys. It's a family friendly video. It is something that helps inspire and encourage young people to have hope. Like I said, it's talking about this place. I grew up in Kansas City with an organization called the Hope Center. I didn't actually attend the Hope Center. I didn't know about it till an adult, but I know a lot of people that did. And I got to interview some of the kids that are there now and ask them about what they want to be when they grow up, right? Has anybody ever asked you that? Uh, it's something that to me is always a fun question. And me and my wife ask that to people that are, over 60 years old. What do you want to be when you grow up? Because it's still important, right? And so you get to hear the heart of these kids and also hear how the Hope Center is inspiring them to have hope. And hopefully it'll spur conversations in your family to do the same, to have fun and grow together and live with hope. All right. With that, I'll end it with hopefully showing a preview of that again. I'll end it with that, and you guys have a great rest of your day. Let me pull up the Free Show Friday countdown, and I'm going to cut to my primary screen. All right. Yep. Signing off. You guys have a great rest of the day. Check out this preview or premiere.
What I want to be when I grow up, I want to be a president.
My life matters.
We always talk about white people killing black people, but we don't talk enough about black on black crime. We kill each other.
My life matters.
Kansas City is different.
Stuff can happen at a moment.
My life matters.
Say, for instance, somebody made me mad, I do the first thing that comes to my mind.
My life matters.
We just go and just retaliate now, or just get revenge on anything.
My life matters.
I mean, we've got about 170 homicides already in the city this year.
My life matters.
And I saw the news, and an 11-year-old girl was shot and killed, and that's all I saw.